Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's reading is inspired by the release by Rockpool Publishing of a very beautiful new tarot deck called the Radiant Wilds Tarot. You can see here depicted as part of your choice 4 of the major arcana cards from this beautiful deck. The artwork is incredibly vibrant and incredibly sort of esoteric and symbolic. I really love it. It also is depicting, in a sense, the tarot journey within the desert. So the concept of the desert as being, there's many sort of spiritual sort of aspects to the desert, the days in the wilderness, for Christ consciousness, the going into the desert to find oneself in terms of walkabout for First Nations people here in Australia, for instance, or even the concept of the desert of the heart, the desert of truth, all of those sorts of things. So I think it's a very rich tapestry through which we can look at tarot and we can look at our spiritual journey. So what we're asking today is, what wisdom and magic awaits you in the desert of your heart, the desert of your soul, the desert of your journey, whatever resonates for you. So we're going to be asking what wisdom awaits, what magic, how do you best journey, and what will you bring back? So we're taking you on a journey through this. This is the process, and we'll be looking at what can help and guide you through it, what sort of wisdom is there, what you can transmute and change as part of that kind of going on walkabout, as I say, that sort of sense. And then we'll sort of finish up with something about where is a very key earth power place for you in the world as a result of this journey, or more generally. So to help with the choice, what I did first is I shuffled the deck and I asked Spirit that I would deal out, and the first 4 major arcana cards that came up would be the choice. These cards will be used at the beginning of the reading. They will be part of the reading. They will then, in each case, be shuffled back in so that they're available for other readings for when that energy is important for the other readings. But they will be part of the reading, the energy of it, the imagery, so that may help you choose. But there will be other cards at the beginning to set the scene of what the magical journey is that you're going on. And so it's not the only part of it. So you can choose by number. I'll put down the numbers as I always do in case that's how you like to choose. You can choose just by what energetically calls to you, by the imagery, or if the actual major arcana card calls to you in some way. For pile number 1, we have the Sun. For pile number 2, we have the Lovers. For pile number 3, we have the Hermit. And for pile number 4, we have Judgment. So it may be that the energies around those cards draw you as well. If you want to go to more than one, by all means do it. There may be more than one journey and more than one desert that offers you wisdom and magic, so it's completely up to you. But when you do know what reading or readings you want to go to, the description box contains the timestamps to take you there. Just quickly before you go, every once in a while I say this in my videos, personal readings are available in my Etsy store. So if you are interested in one, and there's never any expectation that you should be, but if you would like one, you can get it via the Etsy store. The description box also has the details, and the link to my Etsy store is also on the About page for my channel. It's the only way that you can get a reading from me. If anybody ever seems to be soliciting a reading from you in my name, it's not me. I will not solicit that. It is up to you to decide if you ever want one, and then you come via my Etsy store. But certainly, if you would like a reading, that's how to do it, and I would welcome you there. Okay, from here, go and choose your reading or readings, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So as one might expect in a way, if you've come to a reading where you were drawn by the Sun, being that sort of sense of optimism, light, personal power, the creation of self, all of those sorts of things, and particularly with this very radiant sort of Sun that we have in this one, with all the possibilities that the character is looking at there. We've really started this particular journey off with a bang, because this is about you claiming your personal power. With the card from the Oracle of Isis here, and I wanted to use that oracle because with the sort of Egyptian sort of mythologies, we have sort of very much something about the wisdom in the desert and the wisdom in those great expanses of land and so forth. We have the goddess Sekhmet here in the Temple of Carnelian. And this says entering the fierce belly of Sekhmet. It shows that you have an inner fierceness, an inner strength. It may be that some of you are Leo or have Leo strongly in your chart, with being drawn both to the sun and then also the lion-headed goddess. But if not, it is a kind of fierceness of creativity, of self-definition, of power, coming into power. And there's two very key messages that I think are going to come out in this reading, and that this card is already indicating. The first is that if you have any questions about something, a path that you might be about to go on, something that you might be wanting to do, this is a resounding yes. If somewhere within you were wondering if this was going to tell you whether you should go forward with a plan, the answer is very, very, very much yes. As the sun would also say, the sun shines on your aims, your dreams, who you want to be, and your power. The other thing too is that if there's been anything unjust that you've been dealing with and you want to be able to take that on, again, you will have the power of Sekhmet, you will have the power of that kind of balance, that fierceness, and the capacity to take that on. So this in combination, I mean, you are a power force. You are like an internal sun that burns bright within the warmth and the sun and so forth of the desert journey that you are on, is really only reflected by your internal sun and the guidance and the direction of that. This is also shown by the sort of magic powers, because this says you have witch, the magic you seek is inside of you, let it flow. So it's almost saying that while this journey is worth going on, and we are going to go on the journey in this reading, you are finding more of who you are, the sun, your power, your energy, your inner yes, and the power that you have to bring that about. And it interests me a lot that the journey, this I think is part of how the journey operates, because this is the witch in the night and the moon and the sun. For some of you, this could be about a very significant divine counterpart or some sort of relationship like that. It doesn't have to be. If it is, however, it is very much you coming into your power through that, not being submerged in it or secondary to it. But it could also be re-owning and rediscovering sort of a lineage, I think, of sort of spiritual or psychological power, something that was part of your life path, something that is still part of your life path, and something that is fierce, as I say, but it's coming from the depths into being seen in some way. I feel like this is saying that part of your journey is for how you will be seen in the world. But the key that you're going to find, because most of the power is within you already, the key you're going to find to really open this up, to move from the moon to the sun, from the night to the day, is transforming the way you see. And I think it's partly how you see yourself and what you understand of your own power. But there's something about this journey that will let you understand those around you more. You have such an internal sense and balance within yourself, but I think you may be, particularly if there's something unjust you're dealing with, something about a situation that you're in where it's been hard to understand, hard to get the perspective. So perspective is what you're going to get in this journey. Perspective on your own inner power, but also perspective on what it is when you bring back that sense of self, what it is that you do with it. So let's use the tarot. Let's get a little bit more specific. Let's ask first, when you go on this journey in the desert of the truth, the desert of your soul, what wisdom awaits you there? What wisdom and magic awaits you there? Three of Wands. Seven of Cups reversed. Six of Wands reversed. 10 of Cups reversed. 10 of Pentacles upright. So, firstly, you will start to see your new direction. You have to go into the wilderness in a way. This is what this is saying. You have the power, you have the fierceness, but you have to go into that to find your new direction, because you have not been recognized yet for your power and for what you have. Creatively, sort of romantically, whatever it might be, you are going partly to reclaim that. You have a sense, you've had an aha moment with the Seven of Cups reversed. You've kind of pragmatically looked at the situation and realized that you need to make some changes and transformations to be fully seen for who you are, that to continue with whatever, whether this is around love relationships, the Seven of Cups it could be, or whether it's just about you really achieving your dreams, to continue as you have been doing is not going to get you any better result. You need to go on this journey within to find your power and to find the shift and that different perspective. It reminds me of the maxim that doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. You know that. You know that there is something different. You know that you have to find the way to break through something. And it could be around a relationship, but I think for many of you it's about who you are in the world, how you're seen in the world, how people respond to you, and so forth. For some of you, it comes back to family patterns with the Ten of Cups reversed and then the Ten of Pentacles. So this is to move from an emotionally difficult and maybe suppressive environment that you might have grown up in or that you might be around to one where you feel you can establish your lineage, your place in the world. It's very material and creative, but there's an emotional side to it. It's just as though the emotion, however, around you has not worked in your favor. You have felt alone, or you felt that you were trying to do things emotionally around love or family or friendships that were not actually working, were not seeing you in some way. It may be that for some of you, in fact, what was being seen was the fierceness, the power. There was actually fear. It may be that some of this Seven of Cups reverse and Ten of Cups reverse feels a bit to me like maybe some people had almost stepped away from you. You weren't even sure why, because you weren't understanding. You didn't have the perspective to see how this brilliance of your sureness about where you wanted to go and what your ultimate manifestation would be might have been a bit threatening to people, I think. But once you have this different perspective, once you've been in the desert and you've looked almost at yourself as the way other people would look at you, you've understood that, and you've understood some of the emotional patterns that you can unblock, then you can really manifest something. And it's very materially strong. So let's ask, how do you best journey in this desert? If what you're really seeking is the perspective to understand your own power and how it is seen by others so that you can best use it without scaring away people or bringing up illegitimate sort of competition, how do you best journey through this visit to the desert for your wisdom and magic? Four of Pentacles. The World. Wow. Page of Pentacles. The High Priestess reversed. Okay. This is saying do the work, be in the world, create in the world very, very strongly. With the High Priestess reversed, you have all this energy and this witch power. It's within you. You have that you don't actually have to prove that. And in fact, it may be the thing that scares people. This is over and over saying a pragmatic material thing. You are going into the desert to find how you can manifest in the world. Like this is really a rite of passage for manifestation. It's all the power, all the energy was there. I feel that many of you have not got the sort of the money or the credit that you deserve for your abilities and your intelligence and all of those sort of things. And going within, this journey within, so the desert is within you, and getting that different perspective is about finding out what were the foundations you worked from. And I feel with this, it's interesting because the Four Pentacles, they're all different sizes. And I feel that there is one thing that you discover, one thing that you could materially do, one career option, one relationship, if it's materializing something like that, one creative idea that is actually going to provide more for you than the others. And it's almost like the others then start to float off. You're still kind of holding on to a second one. Maybe you're sort of allowed to kind of juggle a couple of them, but there's a really firm foundation that you can find. And I feel like this is then you holding it up. When it manifests in the world, it becomes, sort of like much brighter, much more sort of vibrant. It's like the sun again. So there's something, and it's really key to you, that you need to focus on. So part of this perspective is not just seeing how other people see you, though I think that is part of it. It's also knowing what is the key thing to focus on, and then you plan around that and you are pragmatic about it. Because it's not that you are not going to use psychic ability or spiritual ability, but it is that the proof, in a way, of that is now in what you can manifest in the world. What I feel really strongly about this, and this is maybe a bit of a personal thing that I have, but I believe that we are in this world for a reason. I think I am quite troubled when I hear spiritual people that say, oh, like don't live in the material, it's just the 3D, don't sort of live in your head, that's going to block you. I think all the elements are important and the world is important and we're here for a reason. I feel your real magic power and strength is that you will recognize that there is something you are meant to do in this world, and it might be something that's very seen in the world potentially. That understanding that you have a role, something to create, and it has a material heft to it, that will help you. And I think that there will be a spiritual side to it, but it's a little bit hidden. Or at least in this journey, you don't have to worry about that. You're carrying that with you. This is about getting a different perspective. This is about looking into the desert really as the most material of all things, the sort of sand, the hills, the rocks, the mountains. What are you here for, Pole One? This is what this journey is about. So let's ask what you will bring back with you from this journey. Because we know you're building something for the world, and something I think that, is going to create a legacy for you. Definitely manifestation and money for you in one form or another, or a very settled, strong sort of family tradition after feeling a little bit at sea about all of that. But what will you bring back from your journey in the desert? 3 of Pentacles, 2 of Wands, 2 of Swords reversed. A firm foundation to things with the 3 of Pentacles. Possibly you will actually find others. This might be part of this perspective that are actually going to be part of this. But you're also finding a strategy. I feel like I'm looking at a chessboard there. So these characters are looking out to what can be created in the desert world, and what are the moves to do. You won't come back with the complete thing. You will come back with the choice. And it's a choice, again, that's material. Material and creative. Not so much of the mind, not so much of the heart. The 2 of Swords here, you come back knowing that this isn't something you have to think through because you have the power already. It isn't even something you have to feel because you have the power already. In fact, you're shelving that. You're not doubting yourself. You're not second-guessing yourself. You have a direction. 3 of Pentacles, the grounded energy of it, and 2 of Wands, the creative direction. You will know something that you want to create, bring into being, material being. You will know what some of the key steps are so that you don't have to get tripped up on second-guessing yourself. You will have understood your power. If people have not recognized you before, it doesn't matter, Pole One, because you will have this sense of what you can do. Once you go within, and your desert journey is within, and get a new perspective on yourself and your power, you will know what you can create, and you will have started on the journey. But it will just be the beginning of it. But it is to create something in the world, something material, something that is very, financially or sort of materially abundant. So that's really interesting. And what also interests me is you've got here with the 2 of Swords reversed where I feel like you could second guess yourself. We've also got a chessboard, but it's only part of the chessboard. See how infinite this chessboard is? This is saying that when you actually understand you are here to create something in the world, that will stop you, the limitations that you had. Like you will understand how much more power you have than what you had thought you had. So it's a realization that the strategy is within you and you don't have to second guess it. You'll do it intuitively. You'll just understand. The spiritual stuff is within you, but you don't need to sort of blast it to the heavens because it will be obvious from what you do. Again, there are a lot of people in the spiritual community that talk about manifestation, and yet when you look at their lives, it's hard to sort of see how that works. You're going to be kind of the opposite of that. You're going to be someone who it's obvious that you can do this because you're going to be able to manifest so well. And so it will appear almost effortless. It isn't. These things are never effortless, but it will appear almost that way because you've worked out the lay of the land. You've had this aha moment about your own strength. And if you have been dealing with injustice, if you haven't been seen, people will see you by your works. It's like I think there's a biblical quote about, by their fruit shall you know them. And I think this will be true of you. So that's pretty exciting. So let's get you a couple of astrology cards just to guide you, like the heavens guide you on your journey. Actually, and before I do that, because this is astrological, it's very interesting that this person is standing on Saturn above the desert. So this creative principle is standing on Saturn. Saturn is also, to me, very much of the Pentacles realm, or very much of the material realm, the powers of the world. I do think that many of you will create some form of legacy, empire, move in the powers of the world. That is part of it. Once you get out of your own way and start to just create, there is significant sort of legacy to what you will do. And I'm getting that you have a legacy probably through your family of spiritual abilities, but you are going to manifest so much more with it probably than people in your family ever did. Okay, so astrology to guide you. Fire element, desire. Yeah, this is the sun. This is like the fire signs, sort of Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. Your ambition. You are meant to have ambition. You are meant to have desire. Don't say no to that. Don't second guess yourself. Don't feel, oh, am I going to be able to deal with the emotion? This is about making something materially manifest, bringing something to being. And if it's a relationship, go with the desire, because it is meant to bring something in that's longer term. And 12th house, escape. Yeah, escape from old patterns, escape from whatever this is. There is for you something where you weren't recognized, but it is by following your desire, your wish to create, that you will escape. And, put any of the pain of that into the 12th house, into the sort of like the private. It's not for the world to see. The world should see what you're creating. Then it will actually follow. It doesn't need to see where you came from. This feels like quite a private pain or quite a private issue. But having that different perspective, as I say, and understanding your fierceness and moving forward, the world will see the desire. The world will see what you've created. Okay, so let's get you some from First Nations, the First Nations people in Australia, some wisdom, which is, in this deck, it's kind of like both positive and negative elements that you could think about or contemplate on your trip into the desert. So we have acknowledgement and challenged, and we have weary and renewed. Okay, so this is your journey from this Six of Wands reverse, Seven of Cups reverse, Ten of Cups reverse, to when you build this up, because there is something for you. Something in you has not been acknowledged. Something in you has been challenged. Something in you has been different to maybe the family you were with, the people that you're around, the workplace you're in. But if you move from you make the challenge part of your desire to create, then you will get the acknowledgement through creating. What this is clearly saying is that if you feel aggrieved, not seen, not loved, whatever it is, just talking about that or worrying about it is not going to shift anything. Understanding that with the new perspective, with new eyes, that other people respond to certain things, what people are going to respond to is what you can create. That's where you will be acknowledged. That's where you will be seen. And it's something very material. That will also take you from being weary to being renewed. So this journey is meant to renew your power and renew your faith in yourself, not to feel, oh, it's too hard. The emotional, this is why in a way you've almost got to get out of your heart and not worry about your heart at the moment. I know, as I say, that like it almost sounds like heretical to some people in the spiritual community to say that, but all the elements actually matter. They just matter at different times and in different ways. And for you, the ones that matter are the fiery energy of creation and the material energy of what you create. You can come back to find, the renewal of your emotional energy, and you can come back to that sort of sense of like the strategy of it all when you are no longer feeling challenged. But that's the journey for you, pile one. Okay, so let's see the alchemy of it. What is the energy of change that you can do with this change, purification, spiritual development that you can do with this journey to the desert? Oh, wow. You can't write home about it, can you? Sun splendor, and then the sun was what drew you here. And this is interesting because this adds to this sense I had with the Three of Pentacles that maybe in this journey you're going to find collaborators, because this card does talk about collaboration. It says the joy of collaboration, the joy of the sun's splendor, the joy of creation, all of those sorts of things. This is saying that once you bask within that and you see what can be created, it's a big yes again. So you had Sekhmet as a yes, you have this as a yes, you have sun as a yes. definitely anybody who's come to this asking, can I create something? Can I manifest something? The answer is yes. And it may be that you will find collaborators. You probably haven't in the past. You may even have had ideas stolen or something like that, but you are going to find the right people. You are heading towards the sun. You thrive in a desert environment in that sense. You thrive because you are drawn to the sun's light, and the alchemical properties and creative properties of the sun. So really, really powerful, really lovely energy that's with this for you. So let's ask two last things. The first thing that we're going to ask is, what is the golden path for you? Then we're going to ask for a place on earth that might best represent this kind of energy, or a kind of a home for you following the journey. So what is the golden path for you on your desert journey, pile one? It says inner conflict. So this is the perspective thing. This is what you're exploring. And not to be afraid of it. You are fierce enough with Sekhmet's energy there. With the sun, you will find your way, and you have the magic within you. But you have had some sort of inner conflict around how people have seen you. Maybe some of you even felt that you shouldn't, like you're spiritual, so you shouldn't worry about making money, or it's egotistical to sort of go after this or to create. There's some sort of inner conflict. This is within. This is a journey within, definitely. And it's a one about perspective. But it's one to go through to bring you to the sun, to take you from being challenged and weary into being acknowledged and renewed. So allow that inner conflict, because it will help you with perspective. Rest safe in the confidence that in the end your path is the one you're meant to be going on. There is a big yes, as I say, from a number of these cards. So last but not least, let's find you an earth power place and the energy of that for you, following your trek into the desert and into its wisdom and magic, pile one. Tanah Lot. So this is in Indonesia. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to Indonesia, but Tanah Lot is in Indonesia. But the energy of this earth power place says, the places in between are important for my growth. So the inner conflict, this energy of the different perspective, what's the in between? I can release myself from worry and suffering if I choose. Yes, you can. You are able to create. You have that power. Yes, yes, yes. And I now let go of all that no longer serves me. So this inner conflict, I do think that many of you almost feel not necessarily guilty, but you feel like you have to fit in, or you feel like going for what you want might be too much, or whatever it is. And this is Spirit saying very strongly, this journey within is to let go of that inner conflict, to say yes to what you want and to let go of what hasn't. Your desire, the sun, the life path, that energy is pulsating within you, wanting to be freed and to start to create. So go forth and create, pile one. You are going to be brilliant at it. I hope that this resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile two, to your reading. So you came to the reading where the Lovers is part of this journey into the desert, into the inner realms or the outer realms, whichever it is that this journey shows. And I think with you it's probably a bit of both, because I think with the Lovers, that as a motif, there is something about choice in relationships. And certainly with one of the Magick cards being Lavaria, Let Love Grow, I do think that there is something about love in this journey, whether it is looking for romantic love or whether it is love with friends and family, or whether it's sort of love of self. There is something in that energy that is calling to you. And there's a self-preparation. So I think that this journey is one part within, because we have detox here as part of the magic, cleansing and restoring yourself. And we have the pillar of light from the Isis oracle. So this is about the energy, the divine feminine energy of Isis. You don't have to be a woman, and it doesn't have to be about love between a woman and a man. It could be any kind of love, but there is the sense of the divine feminine, the healing energy, the cleansing energy coming through with the pillar of light to prepare to let love come in. So I feel like the first part of the journey is alone, and then after that it is in unity. and I think part of what you will bring back from the journey is that sense of either a new relationship starting, a renewed relationship, if there is one that you felt has sort of been limited of late, or even such a relationship of love within yourself that you know you're then ready to let love in some way and let love grow. The pillar of light is very interesting here, and I think it connects to the detox here. This is a kind of meditative ritual. It's talking about the soul chakra above the head and the earth chakra beneath the feet. So your whole chakra system connected from the upper level at the soul through to the earthing of that. And it fits very much with something like a desert sojourn, a desert journey to get to the earth, but also to connect to the upper realms. And it talks about imagining that light, that energy coming through you, a little bit like broadband electricity coming through the wiring to bring you the internet or something like that. There is a process, whether you do it literally through meditation, whether you just imagine it, but it is definitely suggesting that you think about that energy coming through you, aligning your body, opening your chakras, letting that healing energy and that detoxing energy come through. So I would definitely say that is a worthwhile thought or ritual to think about doing to replicate, in a sense, the energy of this reading about the journey. But the journey does look like it's leading to someone, to two orbiting planets becoming closer, to love coming in. So I do think for many of you this is about a return to love or a finding of new love or something of that nature, but it could be love in a number of different ways. So if we know the journey is about that, cleansing and detoxing and loving yourself, feeling aligned spiritually, emotionally, all the various chakras, so that you can then let love grow both within and without. This is the journey that you're going on. Let's ask what wisdom awaits you in the desert. Six of Wands reversed. Nine of Swords reversed. Eight of Swords reversed. Hanged Man reversed. Don't worry about the reversals. Most of these are actually better when they're reversed. There's only one so far that isn't, and I think that makes sense. And in any case, I tend to think of it as repressed energy. Six of Swords, and that's not reversed. Okay, so we're seeing the journey here pretty clearly. What has triggered this journey? Six of Wands reversed. You have not been recognised in some way. In love, probably. Or maybe you have had your own sort of sense of self and lovability in some way limited or made to feel lesser than. This is something that you do need to clear out and heal from. It's not true of you, and it's caused you a great deal of anxiety. It's kind of got you stuck in a pattern of thinking. So this journey is to break you out of that pattern of thinking. The Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords, two of the most difficult cards in the deck when they're upright, because in the Swords suit, we can think things are much worse than they are. In fact, that's nearly always the case. The Eight of Swords is nearly always a way out that isn't seen. And with the Nine of Swords, we're nearly always worrying more than we should. So when they're reversed, it's telling us it's even better. It's saying you've had that aha moment. You know now that you are worthy of more than what you feel that you've had. You know that you've maybe felt guilt that you shouldn't have felt. You know that you've been trapped in ways of thinking that you shouldn't have done. You know there's a lot of mental energy. There's a lot here about what you think about things that is what you have to clear out and clean out, that allows you out of the sort of end of spiral of it that you can see this sort of character is in. She can, of course, as I say, even when upright, you can always walk out of it. She could just step out of it, but the sort of spiral is holding her till she realizes that. Because it's reversed, you've realized it. That's a really positive energy, those two cards together. You are already starting on this journey of detoxing because you're no longer listening to the programming and the mind mapping that might have made you feel that way. You're thinking differently with the Hanged One reversed. You're not caught in old patterns, old prejudices, all of that sort of thing. You've had a kind of spiritual aha moment, and it will only grow in this journey because the journey is towards a peace and towards the sun here. You know, you see these sort of like the nomads, in a sense, walking through the desert, but there is peace associated with this, with the Six of Swords. Your mind is going to calm down. Your mind is going to feel that it has its purpose now and that it is not ruling it too much and it's not constrained too much. You can journey sort of much more confidently in this towards the love, towards all of that, towards bringing that energy in. And I almost feel it feels a bit like that sort of like the beam of light coming down from from the heavens, to the first sun and then the second sun almost there. That's what that looks like to me. I'm not sure how clearly that is showing on the screen, but there's literally a second sun or a shadow of a sun that's much larger just below the black possible moon energy. So I think this is about this energy coming through you, seeing yourself as that, the center of you, and also the shadow of you, creating something much more. So that's good. So your wisdom is about understanding you no longer have to be constrained, and you can think differently, be differently, and find your pathway. So how do you best journey in this desert? How do you best do that? How do you get to this calm in the best possible way? Two of Swords reversed. Seven of Cups reversed. The Star reversed. King of Pentacles reversed. A lot of this is very internal, I think, with these things being reversed. I don't think it's bad. It's interesting, some of these cards too came up in another reading, so some of you may have gone to more than one. I feel with the Two of Swords reversed, it's like knowing you don't need to have all the answers right now in this case. The Two of Swords, when it's upright, it's kind of like make a decision. I think this is actually saying you don't have to make any decisions yet. I do think the journey is towards self-love, self-acceptance, and so forth. That will then allow a secondary journey or a second sort of step, which is to restore love, bring love in, whatever it is. Knowing you don't have to have all the answers, that the journey is the thing, is part of this. Being aware that you are going to almost put on hold what you want emotionally. You want just that sensation of love and to understand what that would be, not to be trying to like parse it out to it looks like this sort of person in this sort of circumstance. You're actually suppressing some of the choice around this until you've actually gone through it, because you know with the Star reverse that you have to regain your hope. Something's happened with the King of Pentacles reverse. Something, somebody who is supposed to love you, care for you, or something like that has not done that. And you are trying to reclaim your sense of self. And that's what this journey is about. It's not about the destination being a particular person. Even if there's someone that you love at the moment you want to bring in, the journey has to be about you reclaiming your sense of hope, and even what it is that you would want long term. Because the important thing is, otherwise you could potentially jump into a relationship just to be in one. This is saying don't do that. Like cleanse out your system, get in alignment, know what love looks like to you. Don't make any decisions or choices around it until you have done this journey. Because otherwise you could end up with something impermanent, or you could feel caught within something that is not right for you. Okay, so what will you bring back with you from this journey? Two of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles. Well, that's excellent. So this is the point, the beginnings. At the very end of this journey, you may meet someone, and it might be at its very beginnings of passion and what it could be. Or it could be that you're simply bringing back the concept that is possible. Two of Pentacles suggests to me that you may, near the end of this process that you go through, this journey to detoxify, to align, and to let love in, you may well find a potential other. But it's almost as though, it's interesting how it's portrayed here with two boxes in sort of like two different, I'm trying to think of the word for, what paintings are within. The sort of like I am literally having a mind blank on the name of the thing in which paintings sit, so just bear with me on that. I'm sure you're all saying it right now, so you know what I'm talking about. But basically it's almost like they're there, it's seen, but they're in two different worlds at this point. I think near the end of this you're going to get a view of this. You're going to see what is possible, or you're going to see potentially the person, and it's right at its beginning. You bring back the promise of passion, the promise of bringing something into being that you really want. Two aces are like an absolute double blessing. And it's interesting, Ace of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles, it very much says that you will be ready to ground and bring in love in whatever it is to you in a way that is material and you can really have last. Because I feel what didn't happen before is that this is a much better beginning, and it's passionate. You find passion again rather than feeling sort of worried all the time about it. So I think it's a very positive journey, but I think at the end is kind of when you might first be able to sort of see that could be the one. But just don't even try to choose that till you feel that you have regained your sense of self and you have this sort of energy of a double ace. Okay, so let's get you a little bit of astrology, some stars to guide you on your journey, pile 2. So we have Grand Trine, blessing. That says that this will be easier for you than you expect. Blessings are coming in, and that doesn't surprise me. A double ace at the end. This is meant to be very, very beneficial for you. The magic that you're bringing in is very much a blessing and a greater ease, because you've been through enough, I think. I think Spirit can see you've done your time in worry land, so to speak. You're meant to be sort of somewhere where you can start to believe and have passion and excitement again. And fire element, desire, that came up for another as well too. So yeah, definitely about passion, desire, finding the one, or finding, if it's not love in that sense, it could be collaborators or something like that you want to be able to connect with and have a great relationship with, to go after something creative. But whatever it is, there's a huge amount of sort of like fiery, bright energy associated with it. Okay. So we want to also get some wisdom for you from the First Nations people here in Australia. So this is a deck that has sort of psychological or spiritual states. And so it's just to show a little bit about the duality that you will be looking at as you go through this journey. So we have timid and reckless. Satisfied and disappointed. Okay. So I think this is saying that one of the things, I think this is actually showing the thing that you're moving away from. And I think you will be moving towards satisfied, but you're a little bit fearful of disappointment. So what I mean by this is that you've been living very much in your head and very much in worry, and you're ready to let that go. But the thing that you kind of toggle between was almost the wish to kind of like just follow the desire and just go for it, and the thing that thinking, what are the consequences, and being timid. And there's probably a middle line in all of this, which is the one to find, to have the excitement, but to also know what that looks like, not just to kind of go after something just because it's attractive, but also what is it going to bring in terms of value to life. I think that gets you the balance of those. That will then also help you deal with this particular dichotomy, where it was almost like you had to have it all or nothing. So you either were satisfied if you got it all, or you were disappointed. I think, again, the median line of this is that you don't have to have all the things. This is what you're realizing with the Seven of Cups reversed. You have to have the things that are going to really fire up your heart and make you feel that you can build something secure. Then you will be satisfied. But if you're going after everything and you can't really choose and you're worried, then you almost invite disappointment. So I think this is about understanding how to get to that point, the mid-range point there where you are neither too reckless nor too timid, and the satisfied point here by understanding the impact of this sort of dichotomy of choice all the time and how that creates the disappointment. So understanding that, I think, is helpful for you. Okay, so let's have a look with alchemy, how you might transmute. What energy are you transmuting, transforming in this journey? Calcification. Okay. I think this is the bridge to marry all this together. Because calcification is all about fire and passion, but the point about calcification within the alchemical process is to burn away that which is no longer working. So if the fire burnt too bright and you stayed in reckless, you wouldn't have cleared the thing. You wouldn't be like the phoenix rising. Equally, if you didn't burn away enough, you might be too timid and you wouldn't be the phoenix rising. If you felt you wanted to keep everything and not burn anything away, you're going to be disappointed. However, if you go through the process of that, you let go of that which no longer works and you bring the fiery element of desire, the true desire about what you want to manifest, then you can be satisfied. Okay, so let's see what, with two last things, just to finish off the reading for you. Let's see what your pathway is. What is your golden path on this journey? Masquerade. Okay, I think this is all talking about this same stuff here. I think this is showing that when you try to be all things to all people or to have all things, and there's nothing wrong with it, I'm not having a go. It's just that when we don't really know what we want, when we haven't worked out what our real true desire is and so forth, and we kind of like we worry about that and we don't know how to deal with it, we're always wearing a little bit of a mask. I think the pathway is to take the mask off and get to first principles. That then draws in the right person, because while you're not sure, you could have been drawing in all the wrong people potentially as well. Not deliberately, but just that you getting to the heart of who you are, detoxing, getting that sort of energy, the divine feminine sort of clearing energy or whatever, that allows love in that is not part of a game, but becomes part of something that is true, that is the core of you. Okay. So to finish off pile 2, what we want to do is also find you a place on earth that is powerful after your journey, a place. So it's the place potentially, it's also the energy that's around the place that could be also pertinent to getting the best blessings, which are promised by this from your journey. Volubus. That looks like it's in Greece or Rome. I'm just going to check. No, it's in Morocco. And the reason I check that in this deck, sometimes I need to, because as my mother used to say, I have an interesting concept of geography. She used to say that and laugh when we played Trivial Pursuit, because if I got geography questions, you're going to be pretty sure I was going to lose. So anyway, so Volubilis is in Morocco. And so it could be something about Morocco that speaks to you or connects to you, or you might want to travel there sometime. But if not, the energy of this place says, I am organized and efficient. Yeah, I've got the balance right. I'm not sweating the small stuff or any of that kind of stuff anymore. I weave my spirituality through all aspects in my life. So yeah, it's within your life. It's that's that pillar. Just have it within all your chakra, all the aspects of it, and then let it go. Just know that it's happening. Just have trust. And I can be both creative and prosperous. Yes, you can. You can start to bring in what it is that you want. And I think in this case, it's about love. You can have the love that you want. You just have to be able to properly decide what that love is. Once you do that, you bring it in. So this journey is clearing out all the preconceptions, misconceptions, society rules about it, whatever it might be, getting to the core of what you want and bringing it in. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope it was an enjoyable journey through the desert to find you wisdom and magic, and I hope that it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So what we have here is the Hermit card that drew you here, potentially. Some cards about the magic that you'll find in your desert journey, and also some of the mystery with the Isis Oracle. And I'm not really surprised to see this card, and to some degree these, with the Hermit. I kind of thought that anybody who was drawn to a reading that had the Hermit as its central energy, which is one of the most spiritual, mystical sort of cards of the deck, would be a very, very spiritual person, someone very much on a spiritual journey of one form or another, and likely to be very psychic, a lot of the sort of mysteries and understandings of the world, and that this journey is going to be a spiritual journey. Even though the kind of the landscape of it is like the desert and the earth and all of those things, it is a spiritual journey for you. And it is to confirm a power that you have, plus to make sure that you are ready and able to use it to its full extent. So with the Hermit, as I say, there's the enlightenment, there's the mystery, there's the journey of the spirit and the soul and the mystic. With the Eye of Horus, this is a confirmation that you have divine perception, as this talks about, psychic abilities, healing abilities, higher order intuition. So this is very much a journey for you to become even more aware of the depth of your perception on those levels. And then I think it is a journey to work out how to use it, because I think most of you are going to use it in healing, and probably primarily in emotional or psychological or therapeutic sort of causes in some way, because we have, as part of your Magick Fergan, become a loving mirror. This to me says that your spiritual capacity makes it possible for you to reflect back and help people understand themselves, to gain a similar level of understanding that you have about yourself and about life. But you do it in a very gentle way that almost empathically takes on the understanding, telepathically, I think, also takes on the understanding, then reflects it back so that people can see themselves. They can feel safe to see themselves. And in doing this, the other part of your magic that you have to develop, if you haven't already, as part of this journey to understand the depth of your ability, is protection, to set personal boundaries. Because if you are processing this degree of spiritual energy in service to others, there is a real issue for you around having the right boundaries and the protections for yourself, so that you don't become not just... It's almost like you need to be able to open up this loving mirror occasionally to do it, and then be able to close it and be whole and comfortable in yourself, so that you don't become overwhelmed by what you come through. So this is very much for people who are highly telepathic, highly empathic, and natural spiritual healers and natural spiritual adepts. So let's have a little bit of a sojourn in the desert for you. Let's firstly ask what wisdom and magic awaits for you in this journey to the desert at this point. The Fool, Three of Wands, Two of Wands, Five of Swords reversed, Strength. Well, that's really good to see. I mean, if we are looking at something where, as I say, the depth of your ability, which is significant, is such that you have to have personal boundaries, having strength there, finding strength in the desert is going to be wonderful. And it's interesting the way that this is actually portrayed, because it looks like it's a character in the desert who is holding the sun and the earth just separate enough that the sun would warm the earth but not overwhelm it, and the earth would not submerge the sun. So I feel as though this is this very delicate balance that you would have, a bit like the sun energy behind the hermit here with the star energy in there at their core. I feel like this is part of your journey, is to understand the delicate balance of what you're doing, the great strength and flexibility that is required with it. And some of it is to let people let go of that which was mentally concerning them. I think for many of you, this will play out in something, whether it's literally that you become therapists, or whether it's that you bring this sort of understanding, coaching, mentoring, counseling, that sort of thing, this delicate balance that you bring in to help relieve tension. You could even be someone who could deal with conflict resolution, conflict management, by understanding, like when it's used at its best, something like NLP helps heighten communication by understanding and reflecting back and making people comfortable. So the best negotiators, the best lawyers are often people who understand those sort of principles, whether through actually studying something like NLP or just naturally being able to do it. So there's something in that. You will heighten your dexterity. I think you already have it, but I think you will heighten it and become more and more aware of it in this journey. Something very creative about it, though, something very new. I think that at the end of this, you will know there's a whole other level that you want to go to, a whole other way of using your skills, whether it's professionally or whether it's personally. You are prepared to go. You actually like the journey. You like to know more. You seek wisdom. Always wisdom, perception, even if it could be a little bit scary sometimes what you might see. I think you can transmute that really well, and you bring it back to sort of bring creativity and ambition and drive and energy to others. So you could use these skills to revive an organization that has sort of got stuck, for instance. You could help people reconnect with their passion and what they want. You'd be an amazing coach, actually, amazing coach or mentor given this sort of energy. Very, very spiritual, very creative in the way that you do it. But you want to be a groundbreaker. So this inner journey, I think, to find your perception has then the connection with others in a way to be groundbreaking, to do something new. But it is important, because of this delicate balance, that you also protect yourself. So how do you best journey then, given you need that balance? Because that almost looks a bit tiring. Can you imagine trying to do that all the time? So let's try and work out how to do that in a way that you have protection, so it's not as tricky to bring about. The Magician, well, there you are, the Magician and the Hermit. You guys are very developed. Four of Wands, but you don't have to do it alone. There could be others that can help you. Knight of Pentacles, definitely something about work and commitment. Eight of Cups reversed. So what this is saying is that you have the Hermit, the development. You also have the magical skill. Magic will help you, your magical ability, definitely. You have all the skills. I mean, what the Magician has is all the elements at their disposal. So you can get that balance, you know, earth and fire, but also water and air. Water is kind of in there in that body, and air. Actually, we haven't seen air a great deal yet, though. The Hermit always makes me think a bit of air. But you have all of the elements at your disposal, and you will have people around you. You know, it could be that you will always have a very safe family background to fall back to. You know, you can create that and bring that in because of your sort of emotional depths and so forth. You could draw that in. It could be great collaborators, great teamwork and so forth. Many of you, it could be something like that because of the Knight of Pentacles. The other thing is to be dedicated to this. You need to be dedicated because there is also something in you that needs to be cleared out, and you need to be dedicated to a practice of clearing that energy out. This is what this protection is. Eight of Cups reversed could be when you don't let go of emotional energy, whether it's your own or other people's. So say that's, you know, if you're always opening up your soul in a sense for the emotions of others to be reflected, you do need to clear that out. That's part of the protection. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then you're going to maybe slow yourself down a bit. But you have all the skills that you need to do it. You just need to remember that you need to do it. That there is no point at which when we are on this earth that we get so enlightened and so magical that we don't need to protect ourselves, pile 3. So let's ask what you will bring back with you from this journey. Ace of Wands. The Sun, wow. Seven of Pentacles reversed. Okay. You're going to let something go, actually, at the end of this so that you can bring in the new. Like the journey itself is a voyage of discovery, and it brings in new energy, new sort of enthusiasm, new sun energy, new life path. But you are also going to realize there's something you have to let go. So there is something, pile 3. You are such a genius at this with other people, but it's almost like physician heal thyself. It's kind of like you need to also let go of something. Something did not return investment for you, and you've been dwelling on it a bit. It maybe even made you doubt, are you as powerful as you think you are? Are you able to do this? Why can you help others but not yourself? Partly because you're not. You're thinking you are beyond that. Like and it does happen with spiritual things sometimes, that we think we get to such a level spiritually that we're just high vibrational, whatever term you want to use, and that we therefore, you know, we're just automatically going to do the right thing. And if we had to admit that we could do the wrong thing sometimes or get off course, that would somehow be, you know, not living into our inner power or whatever. But the reality is you have it, but like we can all sometimes get drawn emotionally or otherwise into things that are not right for us. And some of that could be because you are actually absorbing stuff from other people. So you do need to do it. You are not so strong that you can just deflect all that energy. Nobody is. You're very, very developed, but you do need to know that this could be happening. You need some sort of a ritual or something like that, because there's so much wonderful energy coming through for you, so much that's new, so much that's a blessing. But you do need to let go of either the stuff that you've picked up in helping other people or something that hasn't worked for you. Once you let it go, you can let the new in. This is what this journey is about, understanding who you are and what you have at your disposal, but also that like everybody else, you're human and fallible, and you need to be able to see that and let that energy. It's part of how you protect yourself. Okay, pile 3. I feel like I'm rousing on you a bit, and I'm not really. I'm just saying that, you know, like it can become, you can become so intent on helping other people that you cease to think about the fact that you need that as well. But there are people with that Four of Wands around who can support you and help you as well. I mean, it could be as simple as, you know, when people go and they become therapists or whatever, they often have a therapist to debrief with. It could just simply be, you know, it's been a little while since you've been debriefing with someone, and that's all you really need to do. Okay, so let's have a look at the stars that guide you on your journey in the desert, pile 3. Void, of course, moon missing. So that's interesting because that's where you don't feel like you have a direction, but I feel in a way that works well for you in this case because you're prepared to go out as the fool. and not to sort of overthink it, just to sort of go into it and experience it, having that confidence. The only thing is to know that sometimes you may need to course correct, or you may need to talk to someone else. So it's almost as though you've got a great inner navigation. You don't need a lot of external navigation, but we'll just see if there's anything else that the stars might be able to provide for you. Earth element stability. Yeah, the earth element. You know what I'm getting? 1 foot on the earth, the next foot on the earth, the next foot on the earth. It's just one step and then another step and then another step. It's like if you have that kind of a pattern, almost a mantra for you, you will put your footsteps in the right direction. You will intuitively know how to do that. But it's always like, what's going to ground you? What's going to ground you? What's going to ground you? Again, because you're so psychic that you're picking up a lot of stuff from other people. So earth can help ground you, but you don't have to be too concerned about an actual direction at this point. What's going to come out of this is a new direction, but you've got to go into the explorative way first. So let's ask for the wisdom of the First Nations people in Australia who go and walkabout into desert areas and so forth in Australia. So this deck has sort of psychological or spiritual elements that sort of balance out. So we want to see what needs to be balanced out in your journey, pile 3. Ashamed and proud. Strength and weakness. Okay. So we know you're strong. But you have to be prepared to say that sometimes you need support. This is the thing. It's like you can't be just the healer. Sometimes you need to be healed. You can't be just the guide. Sometimes you need guidance or debriefing or counsel or whatever. Don't be too proud for that. It's nothing to be ashamed of in the fact that you need to reach out sometimes to others. So there's something in here. It doesn't have to be a solitary path. We're getting that in balance. You know, you have nothing really to be ashamed of, but don't be so proud that you can't reach out for help. That's not a weakness. It's a strength. To connect with the right people. You do it so much for other people. I just feel over and over that this is something you would say to somebody else. So it's really you saying it to yourself, that it is not a sign of weakness. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Don't be too proud to call out for others when it's right, and to have those boundaries, and to sometimes say no. Sometimes say, I can't be your loving mirror today. I have to look after myself. That's a strength. It allows you to come back. You don't need to feel ashamed of saying that. It allows you to come back stronger. Okay, so otherwise you could burn yourself out with all this sort of like Wands energy. At its worst, it could burn you out. You could sort of feel like you're sort of dying of thirst out there in the desert because you haven't got the emotional, the watery sort of sustenance that you need. Okay, so let's see if we can get an alchemical energy that helps you to sort of transmute and transform to get the highest good out of this journey, pile 3. Sap of the moon plant. So this gives us another element about where you might be able to find this sustenance, where you might literally be able to find the sap, the water, the replenishment. I do think that there is a message here about not being ashamed or feel it's weak to reach out to others who can help you. But there is also something within your subconscious. So this is going back to the hermit as well, not just in the connection with others, whether it's you're helping others or you're seeking their help, because the sap of the moon plant is about getting into your intuition and into your dreams. It is saying that some of the questions that you may have as you go through this, the answer will be within your dreams. I do think it's a balance though. These are so balanced. I do think it's a balance because I think you're going to be bringing into being something that's fiery, something the sun, something of the day. But maybe if you're wanting to understand what didn't work before so that doesn't happen again, go into your intuition. Your intuition is very powerful, and it doesn't surprise me with the hermit, but it's within as well. So sometimes your way of putting boundaries is to go deeply within and look at your intuition and listen to what it's saying. See what your dreams are saying to you. Okay, so let's finish off with 2 things. Let's get you a card about the path that you're on, the golden path that you're on in this journey, and then we're going to find a power place in earth that might resonate for your journey. So the energy of the path that you're on I think this is about finding balance and boundaries and how to best use this significant spiritual and healing ability that you have. The path. positive future. So you're going to something very positive. Yeah, there is a blessing, the ace and the sun, even if something didn't work out and you're trying to clear that out. And I think your own intuition will help you with that. I think the thing about other people is more when you're feeling like you could be burnt out or you need to debrief, make sure you do it. Don't be too proud to do that. But overall, this is a very positive pathway you're on because you do have the ability. You're like the magician and the hermit together. Okay, so to finish off, we're just going to get you a power place on Earth. So a destination after the desert potentially, really more for the energy of the place than anything else, but take from it what resonates for you. And we have Taormina. So I just had to quickly stop there to look that up because, as I said in one of the other readings, my sense of geography is singularly lacking, really. So Taormina is actually an ancient Italian place. So we're talking about ancient wisdom, which would fit with the magician and the hermit and so forth. But Italy has some sort of call to your soul potentially. The energy of Taormina is, I do not resist change. Yeah, you are meant to go into something new, create something new. Change can be a creative force, yes. I can build upon my strengths, yes. But don't, as I say, feel you have to do it all on your own, because you don't have to do it all on your own. And if you feel like something failed before and you're trying to work out how to fix it, that's your journey to work out how to create something that's going to work for you, something new. But it's going to have something to do with your significant spiritual, psychic and healing gifts, pile 3, in whatever way that you want to use it. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome to your reading, pile 4. So you came to the pile that had Judgment as the card that might have been what was the choice, or you might have been drawn for other reasons. But in any case, it's a very interesting card, and I was fascinated when Spirit wanted it to be one of the themes for this reading, because it's a card that's about karma, it's a card about cycles and patterns, it's a card about being called to something, potentially karmically or spiritually. It's also a card that comes when there is an opportunity or a choice that has a time limit on it. So there is almost an urgency. So I feel like there's almost an urgency about this particular reading. Like this journey is very imminent and there is a choice associated with it. But it may be a choice to follow a calling. I feel if that's the case, it's a very creative calling. I feel if you've come to the right reading, there are 2 key elements of this journey. One is a highly creative sensation. We've got the flower of life here, divine creativity and manifestation. This is about the channeling and the downloads that create, that bring in the new, that allow you to be a creative being in whatever way that means to you. It doesn't have to be classic creativity, but there's something deeply creative about this. And there's something about cycles, because the flower of life, in terms of its patterning, has a lot of repetitive sort of like petals. So it shows that change can occur within those and then flow through all the petals to change the flower. But the flower itself, it sort of evolves and mutates and becomes itself again in patterns. So there's something about patterns here. And I feel also with the way that this Judgment card is depicted, there's something strategic about it, because it's seen Judgment as being a king on a chessboard, and there is a pawn here. And I almost feel like it's saying the journey from the pawn to the king, the creative journey to create your own manifestation is what's going on here. Now, interestingly, in the game of chess, and I'm rubbish at it, so I'm certainly no expert on it, but I do know something that I always thought was curious and interesting is that if we saw this as a queen rather than a king, and it could be a little bit androgynous, it could be either. If the pawn gets to the other side of the chessboard, it can become a queen. So whether you want to say queen or king, I think there is something about a decision, a karmic cycle, a pattern that you're dealing with, and something you're creating through this journey and through yourself that could take you from being a pawn to being royal in that sense, like in that broad sense, like to a leadership role, to a thought leader, to someone who has their own sovereignty and so forth. And that this journey, you need to protect your honor and who you are, and have a deeply spiritual core to it, because that is what's going to bring this divine inspiration to you, and this is what is going to navigate you to that sovereignty, to navigate from feeling maybe many of you feel like you're minimized, you've got minimus here, but in actual fact you are going towards being sovereign. But the process is through honoring yourself, honoring your spiritual path, and communing with the source. So there is something deeply spiritual about this. I think it's going to manifest in some creative way that is within the patterns of life and the structures of life and the powers of life. But the way that you do this journey is honoring yourself and understanding where you sit with source. One of the most profound spiritual experiences I ever had was a kind of a lucid dream of being up in the upper realms, and the sensation beyond anything was how tiny each of us are in the vastness of the all. And I always felt after that experience that the concept that we become a god or something like that is ridiculous, and it's not the point. But what is the point is to understand the glory and the majesty of that, and that we are each within that, our individual souls are just as valuable. Every single one is just as valuable. And this is the sense. Every single one, even if you feel like a pawn, can become a king. This is the idea. But that is communing with source, really sort of seeing what is your contribution to the all. What is you? What is uniquely you? What do you create? What patterns karmically in your life have created, and how do you honor that in yourself? I think this is a very profound group, actually. I think this is a very profound journey of really coming into who you are and creating who you are. But you have to take a spiritual path for it. So let's see what the journey involves. So let's firstly ask what wisdom and magic awaits you in your journey into the desert realms. Pile 4. 3 of Pentacles. Knight of Wands. There's the creative energy, certainly. 4 of Swords reversed. 3 of Swords reversed. The High Priestess reversed. It is profoundly spiritual, but I think you will keep that to yourself. A lot of this is playing out in the creative and the powers of the world area. Your spiritual self is your strength in many ways and the thing that's your guiding star, but it's not what you show on this journey. On this journey, you show... So you've got the chessboard again, the strategy of the chessboard. And I feel with this card, with the 3 people, that this journey may mean that you find up to 2 others, maybe 3 other people that can connect with you and help you on this journey. Honor yourself and honor them. It's a kind of mutual support, collaboration sort of energy that is helpful for you, that takes the creative vision forward. But you have to come out of yourself. You have to not be... You might be comfortable being the pawn. You might think life's quiet and comfortable, but you're actually meant to be this much bigger figure. Even if it's amongst 2 other or 3 other much bigger figures, you're meant to be that. So you need to come out. This part of this is coming out from behind the scenes. You've contemplated long enough, and you've dwelt in some pain long enough, quite frankly. You've diminished yourself. This minimus, connecting to source, is not meant to make you feel small. It's meant to make you wonder what you're part of, which is something that is so awe-inspiring and wonderful. And that you have your unique, sovereign contribution to that. Okay, so that's the sort of wisdom. It's understanding you can come out of pain, come out of hiding, take your creative energy forward, find your people. And it will be spiritually guided, but you don't have to tell people that. They maybe wouldn't even understand. You've got some sort of vision on that level that most people don't have. So let's have a look at how do you best journey in this realm then to get the best out of it. Page of Wands. It's very creative. And creative means many things. So you don't have to be a painter or a singer or whatever. 10 of Cups. 2 of Swords reversed. Many have had this, actually. It's very interesting. 2 of Swords reversed. It's very interesting. And 3 of Wands. Okay, again, there's the collaboration thing. I think that part of your journey is to find who are the other pawns that will eventually become kings or queens. Who are your people? You best journey looking for that, for creative inspiration, creative harmony, and so forth, where there can be true joy in what you do. You're meant to be joyful. You're meant to be enjoying this. Like the call is to actually start to own that, not to hide away. You have been hiding away, pile 4, for whatever reason. It may be because you were disappointed and hurt before, but you're not meant to be there anymore. You're meant to be embracing joy. You're meant to be embracing and saying what you want artistically, creatively, whatever this is, sort of, I feel like this is dancing it into being and getting out of your head. See, it's interesting because, again, we have the chessboard, but the chessboard is turned over here, and the Two of Swords is reversed. I feel like it's saying that you have lived too long in your head. Four of Swords reversed, Three of Swords reversed, Two of Swords reversed. It's time to come out of that because it's so limiting. This chessboard, if you see, is so limiting compared to this one. It doesn't even like have the sort of checkerboard thing on it. It's sort of giving you the pathway straight through. Or this one where it seems a bit limitless to go towards the sun with the others. Don't limit yourself. You are meant to come to joy, creative connection. It's lovely, actually. So what will you bring back to you from this journey? Two of Pentacles. It's interesting that came up there for another Six of Wands reversed. King of Swords reversed. Okay. A better choice about where to put your energy. I think this is showing there'll be some realizations that if the joy had come out of it was because you weren't with the right people. They weren't going to recognize you. They were going to suppress what you did because they're too much in their head and they play mind games. Some of you have been around, whether it's in some sort of creative industry or workplace or friendship group, where there's been a lot of mind games and a lot of ego competition. You're coming back with a clearer idea about what would it look like to have the right sort of partnership and what would you actually want to build. So this is letting go of the last of this pain. It's understanding they're all kind of connected there. It's sort of like this feels to me like that not being recognized by competitive mind game type people made you too much in your head, hard to make a decision, made you hold on to pain that you shouldn't have held on to, and made you sort of stay in the shadows. You're not meant to be. This whole section's meant to be gone so that you can have the creative energy, the people that you want. And you can pick this up psychically, but there's something about the people that you're around that probably, even those that you collaborate with, that's the special sauce you bring, but they don't necessarily need to know that. Because maybe, in fact, you've been around people who just would never have understood that side of you, never have got it. But this is you start to really see what the choice should be. Because this is about a choice. You know, judgment is always about a choice, and you're going to have a choice that comes up fairly quickly that you need to respond to fairly quickly. But this journey helps you understand what that choice is so you can grasp it and go towards a happier outcome. Okay, so let's get you some astrology to guide you on the journey. Tenth house, the world, yeah. You're meant to sort of create something. You're meant to be sovereign in something. Something's held you back before, all the second guessing and the critiques around you, but you're meant to really manifest something. And Saturn return age. It might be, some of you may be in your Saturn return, so that's sort of 28 to 30 roughly. Or the second one at around 58 to 60 roughly, and then there's a third one if you live that long, around 88 to 90. So it's every 30 years, depending on how long you live. Saturn return in the first thing is probably the one that people talk about most. Is where you really come into the maturity of knowing who you are. So you may be in that age group, or this may just be that kind of energy. It's time for you to be who you are in the world, not to sort of be behind the scenes, not to be held back by those who don't understand, but moving forward with confidence and joy towards what your sovereign contribution. There is something that only you can bring to the table, powerful, only you. And that is what is wonderful about you within the divine. And you will find others that are similar, and you can, they bring something different though. This is the Gestalt effect, I think it's called, where it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. There's a combined effort, but each is uniquely a contribution to it. That's what you need to understand. That's your sovereignty. That's what you will find in this journey, who you truly are, and then bring joy for you, and I think success, which is lovely. So let's get you some wisdom from the First Nations people in Australia. So, the walkabout wisdom in a sense. So this is a deck that has kind of psychological and spiritual duality states that could be worth contemplating on this journey. And the decisions that you'll make at the end of the journey. So we have ashamed and proud. And we have content and displeasure. Okay. So yeah, you are meant to be proud. I think some people have tried to make you feel ashamed, make you feel littler than you were. As I say, the interesting thing about minimus and connecting to source is that it is a humbling thing, the awe of God, the fear of God, but, in a positive way. But what is also inescapable in that is that we all are our own sovereign individual contributors to that. So being proud of that, not being ashamed, not being made to feel lesser than, because you're not lesser than. So this is part of the journey, really understanding that, what is unique about you, so that you can be content. Because while you sit in a realm where you're not understood, or where you are minimized in some way, or you even minimize yourself, then you will not be happy. You will not bring this joy. You're meant to bring the joy in. So you're meant to no longer feel that you are not enough. You are more than enough, powerful, more than enough. And your spiritual understanding is mature because you understand what you are within the all. That's part of the thing that takes you forward. This is why you should be proud, and this is how you can then come to a point where you could be content. Okay, let's see what you could alchemize in this journey. What could you transmute and transform to really come into your sovereignty? Because this is what it's really about, I think, and to answer the call of your soul, what your perfect, separate, individual imprint is here to do. Calcification. That's interesting. That came up for one of the others. There could be some that are coming to a number of readings. This is about burning out everything that no longer works. There is definitely something you have to let go. There is definitely an environment, a group of people, philosophy, whatever it is, you need to burn out so that you can rise phoenix-like. Because otherwise you stay in these sort of energies. You need to get to these energies. So if you had self-doubt, if you had felt, if somebody put you down that was right, that you'd always be a pawn, so to speak, that's not the case. You're meant to go on this sort of journey, and you're meant to find your people, but you need to burn out that energy. So what calcification is about in alchemy, it's about burning out that which no longer serves. It may have served at some point, though I think for you, you've been probably unfairly treated or unfairly viewed. Or you've done it to yourself. You've been in some sort of spiritual practice where you felt that you were nothing. You're not nothing. You're definitely not nothing. You have, as I say, this unique contribution. But for that to arise, for it to arise phoenix-like, you need to burn out in this journey all that was the doubt and bring in the new, bring in your people. Bring in your real sense of what you want to be in the world, because you can be this. You can. You just need to see that and believe it. Okay, so to finish up, Paul, what I wanted to do is firstly get you a card on the golden path, so the golden path of this desert journey, and then we're going to have a look at a place on earth that might be a power place for you, or an energy that reflects the type of power that you're finding in this journey. So firstly, the energy of the golden path for you. That's interesting. That came up for now. I do think that some of you have come to more than one. Inner conflict, yeah, and it is an inner conflict. It's the inner conflict on two levels. One is whatever other people have said to you that you might have inculcated a bit. It's time to burn that out. The other is that there is almost what appears to be a paradox in that we can be sovereign and divine and ascended and all of those things, but at the same time we are still one droplet in the vast ocean of the all. It's kind of getting those two things into balance. So how I would use it as an allegory is like, it's a bit like each of us individual soul is a bit like to our body what our toe is, for instance, or something. Our toe is not the all that is our whole body at all, but it is an intrinsic important part that does its purpose, and it is just as valid and just as important as what a thumb might do or something like that. So it's getting that inner conflict, because once you understand that, you no longer think that spirituality is about feeling humble. I mean, there is a humbleness in it, but it's not just that. It's also feeling proud and feeling content and feeling that you know what you're doing. This is I think, the journey for you. So let's just see what power place on earth might best reflect this journey. The Ganges, so in India. It's a real sense of cleaning away and clearing away and washing away there in the river of the Ganges what was not you and what you should be letting go of. This says, I forgive and do not fear. You may have to forgive some people. There may be some people who who gaslighted you, and maybe they didn't even do it deliberately, or they did, and like ultimately you have to forgive them because otherwise they still live rent-free in your head, as the saying goes. So I forgive and I do not fear. I accept where I am at this moment, and thus I can flow and grow from here. Yes, you can accept that you're starting this journey like the pawn, but that's your destination. That's your destination, pole 4. Your own unique sovereignty with your people who also bring their unique sovereignty to it. Mature, grounded energy where you can be proud and content. So I hope that that resonates for you, pole 4. I do think it's very profound. I think you're a very profound group of people. This is a very deep spiritual concept to get a grasp of, I think. It feels deep to me. It feels like there's many, many layers to it. So own that and understand that and be proud of it. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.